The 7 Rules of Reality. Introduction. Reality is a game, but almost no one plays it like one. Most people charge into life as if it were a battlefield, fighting, clawing, straining to win. They grind at jobs they hate, chase relationships that drain them, and wrestle with their own mind every night in bed. And yet, after all this blood and sweat, they never stop to ask, what if the rules are different from what I was taught? Here's the truth. Most % of people lose this game, not because they're lazy, not because they're weak, but because they never read the rule book. They're playing blind. They think reality is solid, external, immovable. They think if they fight hard enough, sacrifice enough, and obey the formulas society handed them, life will eventually reward them. But that's a lie. The ones who win, the rare few % who seem to glide through reality, bending it in their favor, they know something the rest don't. They know that reality is not a battle, it is not punishment, it is not chaos, it is a game. And like every game, it has rules. Invisible, but absolute. And once you understand them, you stop being a pawn on the board and start becoming the player who shapes it. Look around you. How many people do you see working harder than ever, but never moving beyond survival? How many set goals every January, only to quit by February? How many swear they'll change their habits, their body, their money, their life, and yet remain exactly the same year after year? They think the problem is a lack of motivation, or lack of luck, or lack of opportunity. But the real problem is deeper, more brutal, and more liberating once you see it. The real problem is this. They're playing the wrong game. They are trying to bend matter with matter. They're pushing against shadows while ignoring the source that casts them. They think the outer world is cause and the inner world is effect, when it's the exact opposite. And so, they live in loops. They start new diets, but still see themselves as overweight. They launch new businesses, but still think like the broke kid they once were. They enter new relationships, but carry the same wounded identity. Circumstances change, but their inner state doesn't. And reality, being nothing but a mirror, has no choice but to reflect them back to themselves. Here's where you come in. If you're still listening, it means something inside you already knows this is true. You've sensed it before, those strange moments where reality bends, where a coincidence feels too precise, where your inner state seems to summon the outer event. You're not here by accident. Out of billions of people, only a few ever even question the surface, and you're one of them. That means you've already stepped into the 2%. You're already beginning to outsmart the game. But knowing is not enough. Awareness without application is torture. It shows you the door, but leaves you outside. That's why what you're about to hear matters. This audiobook is not another think positive sermon or recycled self-help lecture. This is the manual, the rule book of reality. And there are 7 rules you must master if you want to win. 7 principles that cut through illusion, neutralize resistance, and put you back in control. Rule 1. Reality is mental, not physical. You stop chasing shadows and start commanding causes. Rule 2. You set the rules. Beliefs written in your subconscious become the laws your life obeys. Rule 3. You can't have what you need. Neediness repels. Sufficiency attracts. Rule 4. The strongest frequency wins. Conviction outlasts appearances. Rule 5. Resistance makes it real. Whatever you fight, you feed. Rule 6. Reality doesn't care if you're nice. The universe is neutral. Coherence rules over morality. Rule 7. Imagination is the blueprint. What you vividly live inside, reality is forced to mirror outside. Each rule is simple. Each rule is brutal. And each rule is non-negotiable. Ignore them and you stay stuck in the 98%. Master them, and the game flips in your favor. So here is the choice before you. You can keep fighting shadows, keep obeying rules that were never real, keep believing the lie that reality is against you, or you can outsmart the game. Because reality is not your enemy, it is not your prison, it is not a force designed to break you. Reality is your mirror, your stage, your proving ground. And if you dare to learn its 7 rules, you'll stop being the one who reacts and become the one who directs. You'll stop waiting for life to change and start realizing life was always waiting for you to change. Welcome to the rule book. Welcome to the game. Rule 1. Reality is mental, not physical. Let's begin with a statement that will sound insane to the 98%, but obvious to the 2%. Reality is not physical. I know everything around you screams the opposite. The weight of your body on the chair feels physical. The money in your bank account looks physical. The traffic on the road, the boss who yells, the bills you can't escape, all of it feels solid, heavy, undeniable. But here's the truth. All of that is effect, not cause. The physical is only the echo. The real command center, the place where reality begins, is your mind. Not your brain as a lump of flesh, but the invisible field of thought, belief, and identity that your body carries. Everything physical is downstream. The visible is only the shadow cast by the invisible. Change the cause, and the effect has no choice but to reorganize. But here's where most people fail. They spend their entire lives fighting with the shadow. They hate their body, so they punish it with endless diets and workouts. But deep down, they still believe they're the overweight one. And so, no matter how much progress they make, they sabotage themselves back to the old self-image. They chase money with side hustles, 80-hour weeks, and desperate schemes. But deep inside, they still carry the identity of the one who struggles. And so, every deal collapses. Every windfall slips away until their bank account matches their self-concept again. They beg for love, twist themselves to please, lose sleep over rejection. But inside, they believe, I'm not worthy. Reality, being nothing more than a mirror, reflects it back with partners who treat them exactly as they see themselves. Do you see the pattern? They try to rearrange the outside without ever shifting the inside. They're fighting the reflection in the mirror, hoping the face will smile while they still scowl. It never works. And it never will. Think about this. Have you ever seen someone who just became the thing before it showed up? The entrepreneur who walks into a room with the confidence of a millionaire long before they actually earn their first dollar. The person who already carries the energy of health, vitality, and youth long before the six-pack appears. The artist who moves as though the world already respects them long before the recognition arrives. That isn't delusion. That's mastery, because reality bends towards the Tate. It doesn't ask what you're chasing. It asks, who are you being? And the answer to that question, your state of being, is the single greatest predictor of your future. This is the first and most brutal rule of the game. Be, do, have. The 98% live in reverse. They say, once I have money, then I'll do the things I want, then I'll be free. Once I have love, then I'll do romantic things, then I'll be happy. Once I have success, then I'll do the work I love, then I'll be fulfilled. It sounds logical, but it's backwards. The truth is, first, you be. You claim the state, the identity, the inner frequency of the version you desire. Then, you do. You act from that state, with ease instead of force, with confidence instead of desperation. Then, you have. The outer world simply catches up. The world has it upside down. They think having creates being, but in reality, being creates having. Think of someone who wins the lottery. Overnight, they have wealth, but they never became wealthy inside. Their self-concept is still the struggler, the broke one, the victim. And so within a few years, 70% of lottery winners are bankrupt again because their outer have was never matched by their inner BE. Now flip it. Think of the entrepreneur who loses everything. They go bankrupt, humiliated, stripped of their empire. And yet, 5 years later, they're wealthy again. Why? Because having was never the root. They had already become wealth. They carried it as their identity. Losing the money didn't erase it. It was only a temporary echo. And so the echo returned. So let me ask you now, who are you being? Not what do you have, not what are you chasing, not what do you want. Who are you being right now? Close your eyes and answer honestly. Are you being the person who is free, abundant, and magnetic? Or are you still being the struggler, the needy one, the victim of circumstance? If your answer unsettles you, good. That discomfort is the doorway. Here's your practice. Write down the state you want to be. Don't write, I want money. Write, I am the one who creates, the one who thrives, the one who commands abundance. Choose one action today that a person with that state would naturally do. Not forced. Natural. Watch for the smallest echo of have that follows. It could be a conversation, an idea, or an opportunity. Don't ignore it. Track it. This is not wishful thinking. This is physics. Identity collapses probability. State generates outcome. So remember, reality is not physical. It is mental. It is spiritual. The body, the money, the circumstances, they are nothing but the scoreboard. And the scoreboard doesn't create the game. The player does. The moment you stop chasing having and start cultivating being, you've already joined the 2%. You've stepped onto the real playing field, and this is only the first rule. If you dare to keep going, you'll see how every other rule builds on this one. Because once you know that reality begins in the mind, the next question is obvious. Who writes the laws that your reality obeys? That's where we're headed. Rule 2. You set the rules. Take a hard look at your life right now. Your money, your relationships, your health, your opportunities. Every single part of it is following a script. But here's the part almost no one admits. You wrote that script. Not consciously, not deliberately, not with awareness, but silently in the background. Your subconscious has been setting the rules all along. And reality, obedient, neutral, merciless, has been following them to the letter. Most people don't believe this. They swear the rules were written by someone else. They blame their parents, their boss, the government, the economy, their partner, and their past. They think they are victims of systems too big to escape. And it's true, the world is full of systems, but here's what they don't see. Systems are powerless unless you accept them as law. You see, your subconscious mind doesn't filter truth from lies. It accepts whatever you repeat, whatever you feel, whatever you imagine with enough conviction. Then it crystallizes those beliefs into laws that reality reflects. If deep down you believe, I'm always overlooked, life will keep handing you situations where you're invisible. If you believe, I'm not the kind of person who gets rich, your subconscious will make sure you sabotage any chance of abundance. If you believe, I'm unlucky in love, you will unconsciously attract partners who prove you right. Your life is not proof of how the world works. Your life is proof of the rules you've been carrying. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people in the same company, same city, same opportunities. One believes, I am valuable. People want what I offer. The other believes, I'm barely good enough. I need to prove myself. Both go for the same promotion. The one who feels valuable radiates confidence in the interview, negotiates without apology, and carries himself like the position is already his. The other fumbles, over-explains, and shrinks under pressure. Guess who gets the job? Now ask yourself, did the company choose the first one because he was objectively more skilled? Maybe, maybe not. But the truth is, skill wasn't the deciding factor. His rule was. His subconscious law of self-worth wrote the outcome in advance. And the tragedy, the second person will walk away convinced it was unfair, not realizing that he played by a rule he himself had accepted. This is the second rule of the game. You set the rules. Reality is not governed by chance. It is governed by the beliefs impressed upon your subconscious. You are living inside your own code, and the good news, or the terrifying news, depending on your perspective, is that code can be rewritten. Here's how you start. Identify the rule. Write down one repeating pattern in your life, something that keeps showing up no matter how hard you try to change it. That's not random, that's a rule. Interrupt the rule. The next time it shows up, stop yourself. Say out loud, "This is just a rule I wrote." And rules can be changed. Naming it weakens it. Install the new rule. Decide what law you want to live under instead. If the old rule was, "I am always overlooked," the new one becomes, "I am seen, I am chosen, I am valuable." Then repeat it, imagine it, and live from it until your subconscious accepts it. The subconscious doesn't change by logic, it changes by repetition and emotion. Just like gravity, once installed, the rule doesn't negotiate, it just operates. Consider athletes. Some choke under pressure, while others rise to the occasion. What's the difference? Rules. The first athlete carries the rule, "I fail when the spotlight is on me." The second carries, "Pressure makes me stronger." Same body, same training, different outcome, because the subconscious law was different. Or take money. Millions believe the rule, you have to trade time for dollars. So they grind endlessly, barely moving forward. A few switch to the rule. Money flows through value, not hours. Suddenly, they stop selling time and start building systems. Within a few years, they live in a different universe. The external world didn't shift. The internal rule did. Here's your practice. Grab a notebook and write this sentence. The hidden rule I've been living under is, then let your hand write whatever comes. Don't censor it. Maybe it's, I'm not smart enough. Maybe it's, good things don't last. Maybe it's, I have to struggle for everything. Once you see it on paper, you take away half its power. Now, write a new law directly underneath it. Not wishy-washy, not someday, but stated in the present. I am capable. I live in ease. I am magnetic to opportunities. Every time the old rule shows up in your mind, repeat the new one. Imagine it. Feel it. Pretend for a moment that it has always been true. Do this long enough, and your subconscious, obedient and literal, will take it in. And when it does, reality will have no choice but to mirror it back. So remember, you are not bound by society's rules. You are not bound by your past. You are not bound by what people like you are supposed to do. You are bound only by the laws you've accepted in your subconscious. And once you know that, victimhood becomes impossible. You can't blame anyone anymore, you can't hide anymore, but you also can't stay small anymore, because now you know you are the lawmaker. So choose wisely. The next chapter will show you the most dangerous law of all, the law of need. Why does wanting something too much guarantee you will never hold it? And why collapsing need is the secret doorway to finally receiving? Rule 3. You can't have what you need. Here's a paradox that shatters most people's minds. The moment you need something, you push it away. Sounds insane, doesn't it? Every motivational book screams, "Want it badly enough." Every hustle culture guru says, "Obsess until you get it." But in the game of reality, need doesn't attract, need repels. The more desperately you need love, the lonelier you become. The more frantically you need money, the more elusive it feels. The more badly you need success, the more every attempt collapses. Why? Because need is lack dressed up as desire. And lack broadcasts one frequency: I don't have it. And reality, ever the obedient mirror, reflects it back with more emptiness. Look at your own life. Where do you feel most desperate? Where do you ache, grasp, and crave? Chances are it's the one area where things stubbornly refuse to move. The person who needs a relationship suffocates every partner who comes near. They overthink every text, analyze every silence, and radiate insecurity. The result? Rejection. The entrepreneur who needs to close the deal shows up with sweaty palms and shaky energy. The client senses it, pulls back, and the deal evaporates. The professional who needs validation bends over backwards to please everyone, only to be respected less. This isn't a coincidence. This is the law. Need creates excess energy. And in the metaphysical balance sheet of reality, excess energy must be neutralized. The harder you clutch, the faster it slips. The more you chase, the faster it runs. And here's the cruel irony. The things people need most, love, money, purpose, are the very things that flee the fastest when approached with desperation. Now think about the opposite. Think of the person who doesn't need it. The one who walks into the room already whole. The one who speaks without trying to impress. The one who takes the risk without trembling over the outcome. That's the person who gets the date. That's the person who closes the deal. That's the person people want to follow. Why? Because their energy says, "I already have." And reality reflects it by delivering more. This is why some people seem lucky. They're not lucky. They're free of need. They radiate sufficiency. And reality, being neutral but responsive, bends to sufficiency like metal to a magnet. This is the third rule of the game. You can't have what you need. Need is a declaration of lack. Importance is a distortion of balance. To win, you must collapse importance. Here's how you do it. Spot the need. Ask yourself, where do I feel desperate? Where does my happiness hinge on one outcome? That's where you're radiating a lack. Flip the script. Instead of, "I need this," tell yourself, "I am whole without this." At first it feels like a lie, but the subconscious doesn't care about logic. It cares about repetition. Generate the feeling now. If you're chasing money for freedom, generate the feeling of freedom right now in small ways. A long walk, a choice you make for yourself, a tiny luxury. If you're craving love, generate love now by radiating warmth to strangers, friends, yourself. Release the grip. Take one action toward your goal, then drop the obsession with the outcome. Move lightly. The lighter you move, the faster reality moves. Think of two people job hunting. The first is desperate. They need the paycheck. They show up tense, rehearsed, over-smiling, terrified of mistakes. The interviewer feels the strain and senses something's off. No offer. The second walks in with calm confidence. They'd like the job, but they're not attached. They know they're already valuable. Their energy says, "I'd be an asset here, but if not, I'm fine." Who gets the call back? The one who doesn't need it. Or think about relationships. We all know someone who never struggles to attract people. Why? Because they're not thirsty. They radiate abundance, self-sufficiency, and inner wholeness. That's magnetic. Neediness is repulsive. Sufficiency seduces. Let's make this real for you. Close your eyes. Bring to mind the thing you've been chasing hardest. The one thing you keep saying, I need this, I need this, I need this. Now notice the feeling in your body. Is it tight? Heavy? Anxious? That's the frequency of lack. That's what you've been broadcasting. Now imagine this. What if it didn't matter? What if you were whole with or without it? What if this thing were a bonus, not a lifeline? Feel the weight drop. Feel the grip loosen. That shift, from clutching to releasing, from need to sufficiency, is collapsing importance. And it's in that moment, when you stop needing, that reality finally has room to deliver. So remember, you can't have what you need. You can only have what you already embody. The poor beg for wealth and stay poor. The lonely beg for love and stay lonely. The desperate beg for success and stay invisible. But the ones who collapse importance, who declare wholeness first, watch reality bend to them without struggle. This is not about laziness. It's not about apathy. It's about releasing the death grip on outcomes and moving from sufficiency instead of lack. Because here's the truth. Reality is not designed to reward desperation. It's designed to reward coherence. And nothing is more coherent than a person who walks as if they already have. This is the secret that flips attraction on its head. And once you master it, you'll stop chasing and start receiving. But collapsing need is only half the battle, because once you've released importance, the next question is, what actually decides who wins when two people want the same thing? And that takes us to the fourth rule of the game. The strongest frequency wins. Rule 4. The strongest frequency wins. Here's a brutal truth about reality. It doesn't bend to wishes, to prayers, or to half-hearted affirmations. It bends to frequency, and not just any frequency, the strongest one in the room. Picture two people wanting the same thing. One wants it timidly, doubting, hesitating. The other wants it with unwavering conviction, calm, certain, immovable. Who wins? Always, always, the one with the stronger signal. Reality doesn't care if you're nice. It doesn't care if you tried really hard. It responds to coherence. The vibration that holds steady, the inner state that refuses to flinch, that is the one reality obeys. Here's why most people lose. Their frequency is weak. One day, they wake up inspired, convinced life is changing. The next day, they check their bank account, panic, and collapse into doubt. One day, they visualize success with fire in their chest. Next, they scroll social media, compare themselves, and drown in envy. Their signal is shaky, inconsistent, and drowned out by noise. Reality, being nothing more than a mirror, reflects back the inconsistency. Small wins, followed by collapse. Bursts of progress, followed by self-sabotage. Hope, disappointment, repeat. They think life is unfair. But life is not unfair. Life is precise. It simply matches strength with strength. Have you ever noticed how some people can walk into a room and shift the atmosphere without saying a word? Everyone feels their presence. Conversations bend around them. Decisions tilt in their favor. That's not luck, that's frequency. Their inner state is stronger than the collective doubt around them, so it dominates. Or think about history. Every movement, every revolution, every breakthrough was led not by the most talented, but by the most convicted. Others wavered. They didn't. And because they held their vision with unshakable force, reality reorganized around it. This is the hidden hierarchy of reality. Conviction outranks appearance. This is the fourth rule of the game. The strongest frequency wins. Not the loudest, not the angriest, not the most desperate, the strongest. Strength of frequency comes from conviction, a calm, immovable knowing that what you see inside is more real than what you see outside. Here's how you cultivate it. Starve the doubt. Stop feeding your mind with contradictions. If you're building wealth, stop saturating yourself with scarcity news. If you're cultivating love, stop binging cynicism. Your input weakens your signal. Practice holding. Set aside 5 minutes daily to feel the state of your desired reality. Don't think about it. Feel it. Then hold that feeling without wavering, like a muscle under tension. Anchor in the body. When doubt hits, don't fight it with more thoughts. Breathe into your body, straighten your spine, and embody certainty physically. Conviction isn't just mental, it's cellular. Stay longer. Most people switch signals too quickly. Stay with your inner state long enough for reality to catch up. The stronger frequency isn't just more intense, it's more consistent. Think of two entrepreneurs pitching investors. One is brilliant but uncertain. He hesitates, second guesses, and floods the room with nervous energy. The other may have a weaker plan, but he speaks with unshakable certainty. Who gets funded? 9 times out of 10, it's the second. Not because his facts are better, but because his frequency is stronger. Or imagine two people in a relationship. One constantly doubts, suspects, and fears abandonment. The other holds steady, radiates trust, and refuses to be shaken by insecurity. Who sets the tone of the relationship? The one with a stronger frequency. The pattern is everywhere. Reality doesn't reward need or talent. It rewards conviction. Here's your practice for this rule. Tonight, before bed, choose one reality you want to embody. Maybe it's financial freedom, maybe it's radiant health, maybe it's love. Now close your eyes and feel it as if it's already here. Don't imagine someday. Imagine now. Let your body relax, as though the problem is already solved. Breathe the relief. Bask in the joy. Hold it for 1 minute, then 2, then 5. Your mind will try to argue. It will say, but it's not here. Ignore it. Keep holding. Every second you hold is a rep. You're building the muscle of conviction. Do this every night. Over time, you'll notice something strange. The outside begins to echo the inside. Opportunities appear. People respond differently. Solutions emerge. That's not magic. That's the law. So remember, in every contest of reality, the strongest frequency wins. If you waver, you lose. If you hold steady, you win. It doesn't matter if the evidence is against you. It doesn't matter if everyone doubts you. It doesn't matter if circumstances scream the opposite. The moment your inner conviction outweighs external appearance, reality collapses into alignment. This is why the 2% seem unstoppable. It's not luck. It's not privilege. It's not fate. It's frequency. So ask yourself, whose frequency is stronger, yours or your circumstances? Because reality doesn't negotiate. It obeys. And it always obeys the strongest signal in the room. But what if you find yourself fighting against what you don't want? What if your energy is wasted resisting old realities, trying to push back the shadows? That's where most people sabotage themselves, and that's where the 5th rule comes in. Resistance makes it real. Rule 5. Resistance makes it real. Here's a secret most people never see. What you fight, you feed. Every time you resist something, you're not destroying it. You're energizing it. You're wrapping it in your focus, saturating it with your attention, and broadcasting to reality, this matters, this matters, this matters. And reality, obedient as always, says, all right then, If it matters that much, here's more of it. Think of it like quicksand. The more you thrash, the deeper you sink. Resistance is quicksand for the soul. Most people live in resistance. They hate their job, so they complain about it every day, and the job gets heavier. They fear their debt, obsessing over bills, and the debt multiplies. They resent their loneliness, scroll bitterly through other people's lives, and the loneliness deepens. They think they're fighting the problem, but really they're fertilizing it. Because attention is energy, and energy, wherever it flows, expands. Look at your own life. Where have you been pouring attention into what you don't want? Where have you been fighting shadows only to make them darker? The tragedy is this. Resistance feels like action. It feels like you're doing something. But in reality, you're just sculpting the chains tighter around you. Let's test it. Right now, don't think of a pink elephant. Don't picture it. Don't see its trunk, its skin, its silly face. What happened? You saw it. Instantly. Because the subconscious doesn't process, it only processes the object of focus. So when you say, I don't want to be broke, your subconscious hears, broke. When you say, I don't want to be alone, it hears, alone. When you scream, I don't want this life anymore, it hears, this life. And reality, like a mirror, reflects exactly what you focus on, not what you resist. This is why so many people repeat the same cycles. They're trying to push away the old, not realizing that pushing is feeding. This is the fifth rule of the game. Resistance makes it real. You can't fight your way into freedom. You can only focus your way into it. The way out is simple, but it cuts against everything you were taught. Withdraw energy from the unwanted. Stop feeding it with endless thought, emotion, and attention. Redirect toward the chosen. Pour your energy into the state you prefer. Not tomorrow. Now. Starve the old reality. The less you resist it, the faster it withers. Think of a fire. You don't stop it by punching the flames. You stop it by starving it of oxygen. Resistance is oxygen. Withdrawal is mastery. Imagine two people dealing with debt. The first obsesses, complains, and stresses daily. Every call from a collector sends them spiraling. Their energy is chained to lack, so more lack arrives. The second acknowledges the debt, but refuses to obsess. They calmly redirect focus toward creating value, toward imagining abundance, toward small steps of expansion. They don't deny reality. They just don't worship it. Within time, opportunities arrive, new income flows, and the debt dissolves. Same external problem, different internal response, and the outcome shifts. Or take relationships. One person resents being single, complains endlessly, and obsesses over what they don't have. Their energy screams lack. Another person uses the same season to cultivate joy, growth, and self-love. Their energy screams wholeness. Who do you think attracts love faster? Here's your practice. The redirect ritual. Spot resistance. Catch yourself when you're obsessing about something you hate. It might be your boss, your weight, your bills, or your past. Notice the tension in your body when you think about it. That's resistance. Interrupt. Say out loud, this only grows if I feed it. This breaks the trance. Shift focus. Ask, what do I prefer instead? Write it down. Even if it feels far away, naming it pulls energy toward it. Fuel the preferred. Spend 2 minutes imagining, feeling, or acting in alignment with what you do want, not as a someday fantasy, but as a now state. Every time you redirect, you weaken the old reality. Every time you focus, you strengthen the new one. So remember, resistance doesn't free you. It binds you. You can scream at the mirror all day, but until you change the face staring back, the reflection doesn't change. You can fight shadows all night, But until you turn toward the light, the darkness grows. Reality doesn't care about your struggles. It cares about your signal. Feed the unwanted. It multiplies. Feed the chosen. It manifests. This is the game. Resistance is defeat. Redirection is victory. And once you understand this, you stop wasting energy fighting what you hate and start investing it in what you love. You stop being the victim of unwanted realities and start becoming the author of chosen ones. But the rules don't stop here. Because once you stop resisting, you'll realize something even more unsettling. Reality doesn't care if you're good. It doesn't reward niceness. It only responds to coherence. That's the sixth rule of the game. Reality doesn't care if you're nice. Rule 6. Reality doesn't care if you're nice. This one will sting. Reality doesn't care if you're nice. You've been told your whole life that if you're kind, humble, polite, and patient, good things will automatically happen to you. Be nice, follow the rules, stay in line, and the universe will reward you. But look around. Is that how it works? The world is full of kind people who are broke, exhausted, and overlooked. Full of humble souls who never speak their truth, who get passed over for promotions, who settle for less than they deserve, full of patient dreamers who keep waiting for their turn and die waiting. Niceness is not a currency in this game. The universe is not Santa Claus handing out gifts based on good behavior. It is law, not morality, and the law that follows is coherence, not kindness. This is why good people suffer while ruthless people thrive. It's not because reality rewards evil. It's because the ruthless often embody stronger self-concepts. They walk with certainty. They believe they deserve power, wealth, and influence. And reality, being neutral, reflects conviction, not virtue. Meanwhile, the nice ones shrink. They apologize for existing. They lower their voice, dim their light, suppress their desires, all in the name of being liked. And reality, obedient as always, mirrors back smallness, invisibility, mediocrity. You've seen it before. The workplace where the timid worker keeps grinding, waiting to be noticed, while the confident one demands the raise and gets it. The relationship where the overly nice partner bends and breaks, only to be taken for granted, while the unapologetic one commands respect. The marketplace where the quiet genius starves, while the bold self-promoter cashes in. It isn't fair, but it is the game. So here's the shift you must make. Stop confusing being nice with being coherent. The universe does not respond to your moral points. It responds to your identity signal. If your signal says, "I am small, I am unworthy, I am desperate to please," then reality matches it with more reasons to stay small, unworthy, and desperate. But if your signal says, "I know who I am, I know what I deserve, I walk in coherence with my truth," reality mirrors that back, regardless of whether you're polite or not. That's why some people can be blunt, even abrasive, and still get respect. Their conviction is stronger than their need to be liked, and in the hierarchy of reality, conviction always wins over compliance. This is the sixth rule of the game. Reality doesn't care if you're nice. It cares if you're aligned. Being nice isn't wrong, but it's irrelevant without coherence. The question isn't, am I nice enough for life to reward me? The question is, am I congruent enough for life to reflect me? So here's your practice. Check your motives. Ask, am I being nice because it's authentic or because I'm afraid of disapproval? If it's fear-driven, it weakens your frequency. Stand in self-concept. Every morning, declare, "I am valuable. I am worthy. My presence is enough." Don't just say it. Embody it in posture, voice, and action. Choose respect over approval. Approval is fickle. Respect is magnetic. Stop contorting yourself to be liked. Instead, act from alignment with your identity, even if it offends. Balance kindness with conviction. True power isn't cruelty, it's coherence. You can be kind and firm, compassionate and unwavering. But the non-negotiable foundation is conviction. Think of leaders throughout history. Were they all nice? Hardly. Many were uncompromising, direct, and even disliked. But what they shared was an unshakable conviction in their vision, and reality bent to that vision. Or consider business. One entrepreneur spends years building quietly, afraid to speak up, terrified of marketing themselves as too much. Another storms into the market boldly, declaring their value, unafraid of rejection. Which one do people remember? The one with conviction, not the one with politeness. And in love, we've all seen it. The person who bends over backwards, desperate to please, rarely gets loyalty. The person who sets boundaries, who refuses to settle, commands devotion. Niceness didn't decide it. Self-concept did. Here's your practice for this chapter. The respect reset. Write down one area of life where you've been too nice, where you've been silencing yourself, shrinking, or sacrificing truth just to be liked. Ask yourself, what rule have I been living under here? Maybe it's, if I'm nice enough, I'll be chosen. Or, if I stay quiet, I won't be rejected. Flip it. Write a new law. Respect is earned by coherence, not compliance. Or, I attract by being authentic, not by begging approval. Practice it once this week. In a meeting, a conversation, a decision, choose respect over approval. Stand in your self-concept. You'll feel fear at first. That's the test, but once you experience reality responding with more respect, more opportunities, more alignment, you'll never confuse niceness for power again. So remember, the universe is not keeping score of your politeness. It is keeping a score of your coherence. Nice is optional. Alignment is mandatory. Nice may get you liked. Alignment gets you respected. Nice may get you tolerated. Alignment gets you obeyed. Reality does not bend to those who beg for approval. It bends to those who radiate conviction. So stop apologizing for your existence. Stop waiting for life to reward you for being good. Step into coherence. Walk in self-concept. Command respect. Because this is the law. Reality doesn't care if you're nice. It only cares if you're aligned. And once you understand that, you're ready for the seventh and final rule. The rule that unlocks the creative force behind everything. Imagination is the blueprint. Rule 7. Imagination is the blueprint. Every skyscraper you see began as a sketch. Every invention, every empire, every revolution began as an image in someone's mind. And every transformation in your life will follow the same law. What you imagine is the blueprint of what you will live. But here's the twist. Most people don't use their imagination consciously. They use it destructively. They imagine worst-case scenarios. They picture failure. They rehearse rejection. And then they call it reality when those pictures step out of their mind and into their life. Imagination is not child's play. It is creation's workshop. It is not fantasy. It is causation. Think about how you use your imagination daily. When you worry, you're imagining. When you replay arguments in your head, you're imagining. When you stress about bills or see yourself messing up the interview before you even step in the room, that's imagination at work. The problem is not that you lack imagination. The problem is you're using it against yourself. You've made imagination a weapon for fear instead of a tool for creation. And here's the brutal truth. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. If you feed it an image with enough emotion, it accepts it as fact. And once it accepts it, reality arranges itself to make it true. So if you keep handing it pictures of lack, failure, abandonment, don't be surprised when reality mirrors those back. Now flip the script. Think of someone who lives ahead of their time. The inventor who sees a machine before the parts exist. The artist who sees a painting before the brush touches the canvas. The leader who sees a future before the world believes it's possible. What are they doing? They are living in imagination first. They are creating the blueprint before reality lays the bricks. This is why visionaries are misunderstood. People call them dreamers, delusional, unrealistic. But decades later, when the vision materializes, everyone calls them geniuses. The only difference was this: they trusted imagination more than appearances, and that's what you must do. This is the 7th and final rule of the game. Imagination is the blueprint. If you don't design your reality in imagination, someone else will. If you don't hand your subconscious a clear picture, it'll keep recycling the old ones. So here's your practice. Choose the scene. Pick one future you want, not vague, but specific. A conversation, an achievement, a moment of victory. Step into it. Close your eyes and live it in first person. What do you see? What do you hear? What does the air feel like? Feel it real. Don't just watch the scene, embody it. Feel the emotions you'd feel if it were happening now. Relief, joy, gratitude, pride. Return often. Do it daily. Not for hours, but for minutes with full intensity. Each repetition etches the blueprint deeper into your subconscious. This is not daydreaming. This is reality writing. The blueprint becomes the structure, and the structure becomes the event. Take the story of an athlete who rehearses a routine in their mind hundreds of times before stepping onto the field. Science shows their brain lights up the same as if they were physically practicing. By the time the real moment arrives, the body simply executes what the mind has already rehearsed. Or think of entrepreneurs. Many will tell you they saw their company long before it existed. They walked through imagined offices, heard the hum of employees, and felt the satisfaction of impact. That inner image was the seed. The outer company was just the fruit. This isn't just positive thinking. It's the mechanics of creation. Let's make this real right now. Close your eyes. Picture one scene you desire. Maybe it's signing the deal. Maybe it's walking into your dream home. Maybe it's embracing the person you love. Now slow it down. Add details. What's around you? What do you hear? Smell? See? Most importantly, how do you feel? Let that feeling flood your body as though it's happening right now. Breathe into it. Hold it. Let your subconscious absorb it like a sponge. That's your blueprint. The more you return to it, the more your subconscious engraves it. And the more it engraves it, the more reality is forced to construct it. So remember, you are not at the mercy of circumstance, you are the architect. Imagination is your drafting table. The inner picture is the blueprint, and the outer world is just construction following orders. If you imagine fear, you'll live in fear. If you imagine failure, you'll walk into failure. If you imagine greatness, wholeness, freedom, reality will eventually have no choice but to comply. This is the rule that separates dreamers who drift from creators who conquer. The difference is not talent, not luck, not birthright. The difference is who dares to imagine deliberately and hold the vision until reality catches up. This is your final rule. The blueprint is in your hands. The question is, what are you designing? Whether you do it consciously or unconsciously, you're always imagining. You're always drawing blueprints. The only choice is, will you build nightmares or will you build miracles? Conclusion: outsmarting the game. Now you see the truth. Reality is not a battle to be fought, but a game to be outsmarted. You were never meant to suffer through life like a soldier crawling through endless mud, bruised and broken, praying for mercy. You were meant to play. You were meant to understand the rules, pick up the controller, and realize, I've had the power all along. The tragedy is that most people will never know this. They'll keep fighting shadows. They'll keep obeying rules that don't exist. They'll keep thinking life is unfair when the real problem is simple. They never learned how the game works. But you're not most people. You've seen the rule book now. You know what only the 2% ever discover. The question is, what will you do with it? If you do nothing, the old life returns. The gravity of habit will pull you back into resistance, into need, into the weak frequency of doubt. You'll find yourself being nice instead of aligned, imagining fears instead of futures. And reality, loyal as ever, will reflect those choices. That's the risk. Knowledge without practice, awareness without action. Too many people taste the truth, then slip back into old rules because they refuse to apply what they know. But if you apply it, if you dare to live as though these rules are absolute, then nothing will ever be the same. Let's remind ourselves of the 7 laws you now carry. Reality is mental, not physical. The outer is effect, the inner is cause. Be first, then do, then have. You set the rules. Your subconscious beliefs write the laws your life obeys. Rewrite the rule, and the game changes. You can't have what you need. Need repels. Collapse importance. Move from sufficiency, not lack. The strongest frequency wins. Conviction, held steady, overpowers appearances every time. Resistance makes it real. What you fight, you feed. Redirect your focus instead. Reality doesn't care if you're nice. The universe responds to coherence, not morality. Respect beats approval. Imagination is the blueprint. What you vividly hold within, reality builds without. These are not theories, these are laws. Ignore them and you're trapped. Master them and you're free. So here's your challenge. Take the next 7 days and live each day by one rule. Day 1, practice BE to DO to HAVE. Act from identity, not circumstance. Day 2, rewrite one limiting rule you've carried for years. Install a new one. Day 3, collapse importance. Release desperation in one area where you've been grasping. Day 4, strengthen frequency. Hold your inner state longer than you ever have before. Day 5, starve resistance. Redirect focus from what you hate to what you want. Day 6, choose respect over approval. Be aligned even if it costs you being nice. Day 7, design your blueprint. Imagine your chosen future in vivid detail and feel it as real. By the end of 7 days, you will have lived the game differently, and once you taste that power, you won't go back. Remember, the 2% who win at life are not luckier, smarter, or chosen by fate. They simply play by these laws while the 98% don't. The entrepreneur who rebuilt after bankruptcy. He lived Rule 1, being wealthy before having wealth. The artist who rose from obscurity. She lived Rule 7, holding her vision in imagination until the world caught up. The leader who commanded respect despite critics. He lived Rule 6, choosing conviction over approval. These are not superhumans. They are players who know the rules. And now, so do you. Here's your final practice, the game reset. Write down the 7 rules on a single page. Keep it somewhere visible. Every morning, read them out loud. Choose one as your focus for the day. Every night, review. Did I play by today's rule, or did I slip back into the 98%? This keeps the game in front of you. It keeps the rules alive. So here we are. You've reached the end of the rule book, and now the game is in your hands. You can close this audiobook and go back to playing blind, hoping life will somehow change while you ignore the laws that govern it. Or you can step onto the field with eyes open, strategy clear, and rules in hand. Reality doesn't bend to hope. It bends to mastery, and mastery begins with outsmarting the game. So remember this: don't fight reality, outsmart it. Don't beg for change, embody it. Don't wait for permission, play to win. Because in the end, there is no referee keeping score, no external judge rewarding good behavior. There is only you, your frequency, and the rules. And once you know the rules, losing is no longer an option. Welcome to the 2%. Welcome to mastery. Welcome to the game.